Percent of people don't know these secrets. Are you one of them? When you're over 60, you might notice a subtle but very important change in the relationships around you. These changes often aren't dramatic or noisy. Instead, they come from actions and questions left unspoken, things that people don't say out loud. As I've seen in my work as a counselor, when love fades, it doesn't always show itself through big arguments or dramatic outbursts. Sometimes it's the small changes, less curiosity, less time spent together, and a lack of patience that no one talks about, but you can feel in the air. I remember a story from one of my clients, Mr. Bill, who was 72 years old and had been married to his wife, Sarah, for over 40 years. He shared with me one day, "John, one day I realized that we no longer talk to each other like we used to. I tell her about my day, but she hardly ever asks anything back. It felt like I was talking to a stranger." Mr. Bill's story made me remember something very important. When love gradually fades, we start to notice the silent spaces between us that we couldn't see during the years of happiness. So when love fades, you might not hear any clear words, but you will feel the signs in the actions. And I believe that if we can recognize those signs early, we can do something to save the relationship or at least understand it better. In this video, I will share with you 5 small but important signs that I've seen over many years of work, helping you recognize when love in a relationship begins to fade. These signs are not guesses or things I've heard, but are based on real emotional patterns observed in long-term relationships, marriages, and close partnerships. Let's explore these and share our thoughts, because you deserve to have healthy relationships and true love in this beautiful stage of life. So where do we start? Let's look at the first sign. Sign 1, loss of curiosity. Love isn't just about sweet words. It's also about the curiosity and care for the little details in each other's lives. In the early stages of a relationship, you'll notice your partner asking about everything, from work, fun things that happen during the day, to little details like what you ate or what you're doing. But when love starts to fade, you'll notice that they no longer ask these things anymore. Questions like, "How was your work today?" "Anything new in your life?" or "How was your day?" become rare or even disappear completely. At this point, you realize that your partner no longer asks. And even when you share a story, they listen half-heartedly without real interest or care. They no longer seem curious, and their listening becomes just a reflex, as if you are just part of the background. This loss makes you feel invisible in the relationship, even though you're still physically close to each other every day. A story from my 60-year-old friend Anna made me realize this. Anna told me that her husband used to ask about her meetings at work or the interesting things she experienced that day. But recently, she noticed that he stopped asking. The last time she told him about an interesting meeting, he just nodded and went back to his work. It wasn't that he didn't love her anymore, but that care had gradually faded away, silently. When love fades, it's not always about big actions. Sometimes it's about small things like this. Curiosity disappearing, replaced by silence and indifference. Sign 2, decreased patience. Another clear sign is when patience starts to decrease. The small things that you used to do wrong and be forgiven for now seem to irritate them. You might forget where the spare key is, or forget an important date, and instead of the understanding you used to get, you're met with wheeze, sharp tones, or that cold look that says, "Why are you bothering me?" What used to feel like patience is now replaced by frustration, and sometimes even unintentional criticism. This is the first sign of emotional withdrawal. I remember a story about Mr. Mike, 68 years old, and his wife Sarah, who had been married for 45 years. Before, every time Sarah forgot her glasses, Mike would patiently help her find them. But one day when she asked him about the glasses, he responded with a strange look and said, "You need to figure this out yourself." That moment stayed with Sarah, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so different from how he used to be. When love fades, patience disappears. The small things that used to be overlooked are now reasons for annoyance. Sign 3, lack of time together. When love begins to fade, you'll notice that your partner no longer spends quality time with you like before. It's not just about hours on a calendar, but about the kind of time that feels shared, meaningful, and chosen. You'll see that they stop making plans with you, not because they're busy, but because they don't want to. They used to sit beside you during your favorite shows or join you on the porch in the evening, but now they linger in other rooms or leave the house more often without asking if you'd like to join. I once heard a story from Mr. Rye, 68 years old, about the changes in his relationship with his wife Linda. Before, every morning they would sip coffee together, chatting about everything. But gradually, Linda started waking up earlier and going for long walks alone. The coffee was already made and the table was empty. She said she needed time for herself. Rye understood at first, but soon he felt like a guest in his own marriage. When love fades, they stop making time for you because time is a form of love. And when that love weakens, so does their desire to be close. Sign 4, emotional withholding. One of the saddest signs when love fades is when your partner stops sharing their feelings and deep thoughts with you. What they used to talk about now becomes secrets they keep to themselves. They become closed off, and you start to feel like you're living with a roommate instead of a partner. Emotional sharing is a crucial part of love, and when it's missing, it creates an unbridgeable gap. Mrs. Gloria, 71, shared a story about her relationship with her husband, Samuel. Before, Samuel would always share his worries about work or family with her. But one day after his cousin passed away, Gloria didn't find out until a week later. When she asked why he hadn't told her, he just said, "I didn't want to burden you." This shift doesn't happen overnight, but when love fades, they stop sharing their feelings, making you feel more like an outsider in the relationship. Sign 5, physical withdrawal. One of the clearest signs when love starts to fade is the lack of physical closeness. The hand holding, the hugs, or other intimate gestures gradually become awkward or even disappear completely. You start to feel the absence of love in these gestures. It makes you feel like you're living with a stranger, even though you're still together every day. Think about Mr. Martin, 72, and his wife Alice. They had been married for almost 50 years and always expressed their love through small, affectionate gestures. But after Martin retired, something changed. He became quieter, more distant. He would turn his back in bed or shrug off Alice's hand when she tried to rest it on his knee while watching TV. Slowly, Alice stopped reaching out too, not because she didn't love him, but because she didn't know where they stood anymore. Conclusion: what I've shared today is not exaggerated, but real experiences I've witnessed over many years in counseling. Recognizing these signs of love fading is crucial because they are subtle but strong indicators of changes in a relationship. Don't let these signs pass unnoticed, and don't deceive yourself or blame yourself. Instead, face the truth. Only when you see clearly will you be able to make the right decisions for yourself and your relationship. My advice to you is be honest with yourself and your relationship. Ask yourself if you feel safe, cared for, and respected. Take care of yourself and maintain respect in your relationship. The decisions you make will determine the direction you go next, and emotional safety is something you deserve. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please share what you have learned and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your stories and thoughts are valuable to us. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it to help our channel grow and provide more valuable content for the community. You deserve real love and happiness at every stage of life. Thank you for watching Talk with John channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.